warm welcome to GRTS News, broadcasting live for viewers in the Gambia and around the world. In our top stories this hour, in his New Year message, President Barrow says the year 2021 provided opportunities for government to strengthen bilateral and multilateral cooperation, as well as collaboration with development, regional and international partners for socio-economic growth. Still with the New Year messages, bishops of the Catholic, Anglican Diocese and the Methodist Church describe COVID-19 pandemic as a humanitarian crisis and urge people to be vaccinated. Examining government sectors, GRTS looks at all sectors of the economy as the year 2021 comes to an end. Elsewhere, presidential candidates in the France's upcoming elections gear up to the race with issues such as immigration, security, climate change, and the COVID-19 pandemic. Well, that's the top of the news this hour. With me, Isaac, and much more coming ahead. Do stay with us. It's a pleasure to have you here. We begin this edition of the news with the presidency because His Excellency Adama Barrow has said that the year 2021 began with a prolonged calamity of the coronavirus which affected all sectors and hindered the full implementation of the country's development programs. With determination, according to the president, the country was able to contain the pandemic through various resilience mechanisms employed by the government and development partners. President Barrow made the remarks in a televised New Year message, thanking Gambians for upholding democratic principles that gave him a second mandate. President Barrow assured for a more successful year with the implementation of more development projects. Here's more.
Our determination as a people and focus as a government fortified our resilience and helped us to live with the pandemic. We thank God for this. Another incident of the year worth mentioning is the unfortunate July 7 windstorm that led to the loss of lives and left many people devastated, most notably in the North Bank region and the Combos. Obviously, therefore, 2021 was not all rosy. This notwithstanding, we registered remarkable achievements across all sectors. Chiefly, the year provided opportunities to strengthen our bilateral and multilateral cooperation. The support and collaboration from our regional and international partners are significant and invaluable. Through such partnerships, we immensely strengthen our socio-economic and political advancement. Generally, government did exceedingly well during the year in the key areas of infrastructure development, energy generation, agriculture, governance, institutional strengthening, and provision of cash and in-kind support. In addition, we boosted the education and health sectors in an unprecedented fashion. On the other hand, the people stepped up political activity and participation and manifested their civic responsibilities and civil rights with passion. Our democracy is now vibrant, and all citizens are at liberty to express themselves freely within the framework of the law. Such successes should motivate us to aim higher. The days ahead provide opportunities for all of us to explore as a nation and as family units and individuals. Fellow Gambians, officially today marks the end of our 3-year National Development Plan 2018-2021. And it signals the end of our 5-year 2017-2022 political transition phase. However, the hard work continues. We look forward to 2022 with great optimism and zeal. During the last 4 years, various reforms, policies, and strategies were successfully initiated. A few others are nearing completion. I assure you that the government is now better placed for bigger successes.
His Excellency President Adam Barrow there on his New Year message to Gambians. Now, meanwhile, the Bishop of the Catholic, as well as that of the Anglican Diocese and the Methodist Church, delivered televised New Year messages. In so doing, they highlighted a host of matters, including the COVID-19 pandemic. The spiritual leaders called for progress as legitimate children of the Most High God. They also made calls for people to be thankful to God and follow the example of Jesus, his protection and help in facing the challenges we have overcome. Here's an excerpt.
Our hope in God will not disappoint us. Dear brothers and sisters in Christ, a week ago we celebrated the birth of Jesus Christ in Bethlehem and God's fulfillment of his promise of a Savior for us. Our hope of a Savior we expected to save us from the forces of sin and evil was equally fulfilled by God. We should therefore have confidence in God's power to fulfill his word, accomplish his will, and save us from the forces of sin and evil through his Son Jesus Christ, who is now present in our midst as God with us. Even at the beginning of this new year, with its uncertainties and challenges, we should renew our hope and trust in God's goodness, guidance, and faithfulness in our various vocations in life. So my New Year's message is our hope in God will not disappoint us.
Beloved people of God, as the year 2021 ends, opening the gate to the new year 2022, we want to remind you of this good news. Because you are God's children, he sent the Spirit of his Son, Jesus Christ, into our hearts, the Spirit who calls, Abba, Father. So you are no longer a slave, but God's child. And since you are his child, God has made you also an heir. Galatians 4:6-7. Friends, do you have room in your heart for our Lord Jesus Christ to dwell? Apostle Paul reminded the Galatians that they were slaves to the spirits of the world before they believed in Christ.
Into the year 2022 with gratitude and confidence. It spread throughout the world in 2020. And continued in 2021. In spite of the growing availability of various vaccinations. Now, at the turn from 2021 to the year 2022, there is no end in sight, with ongoing mutations of the virus and breakthrough infections, where even those who have been fully vaccinated can still be infected. In many parts of the world, booster vaccinations are becoming more available. And even then, there is no guarantee that those who have been vaccinated are safe from being infected. In fact, with new mutations and variants of the virus, more people everywhere in the world are threatened by the disease, and more breakthrough infections are being reported even in countries where vaccines are widely available.
Heads of the different Christian denominations there. Now, the President, His Excellency Adam Barrow, has called on his party executive members and militants to replicate the NPP's resounding victory in the last presidential election to the upcoming National Assembly elections. President Barrow delivered this message to the KMC regional campaign team, who called on him Wednesday afternoon at the State House. Mamadou Diallo has the details.
Election Campaign Committee was the latest to call on the President, His Excellency Adam Barrow, to congratulate him on his election victory and receive their prize money for their exploits in the last presidential election. The committee comprises regional mobilizers, youth and women representatives, and allied political parties. Speaking during their meeting with the President, the regional chairman Unda Nyang expressed profound gratitude to all committee members for their contribution to the campaign, which led to the President's landslide victory. He also congratulated the President and assured him of the committee's unflinching support and loyalty ahead of the National Assembly and local government elections. The APRC regional chairman, Abdullah Drame, acknowledged that it had been a challenging journey for the party and its allies, but expressed satisfaction with the outcome, which he described as beyond dispute. We want to continue this journey with you, the APRC regional strongman reassured. Several other speakers gave similar reassurances to the President, all recounting the tremendous coordination and collaboration between the different political factions, all united by their common desire to ensure victory for the NPP-led coalition. In response, the President, His Excellency Adam Barrow, thanked all committee members for their efforts, which has further entrenched the NPP as the dominant political force in the Gambia. He, however, challenged them to maintain the same strategy and formula to ensure victory for the NPP in the National Assembly and local government elections early next year. The President, however, warned his party members and supporters to shun opposition propaganda, which he said uses psychological means to sow division and discord within the NPP ranks. He finally pledged to massively campaign for National Assembly and local government candidates, arguing that he needs the right partners to enable him push his agenda of development. Like other committees in Banjul and the West Coast region, President Barrow presented them a cash prize in recognition of their individual and collective efforts in the polls. Mamadou Diallo, GRTS News.
Meanwhile, the community of New Yundum has finally inaugurated its mosque this Friday. The event was attended by the President of the Republic of the Gambia, His Excellency Adam Barrow, and several high-profile religious figures. The inauguration marks a new milestone for the village, which has seen a steady expansion in recent years. Mamadou Diallo again.
The President, His Excellency Adam Barrow, Friday graced the historic opening of the new Yundum Mosque, which has been undergoing construction for the past few months. The President joined hundreds of worshippers from the village and its surroundings for the event, which is seen as an important milestone for the community of New Yundum. As a resident of the neighboring Yarambamba estate, his presence as chief guest of honor was seen as a homecoming for such an important event for the community. There were several prominent Islamic scholars, including the President of the Gambia Supreme Islamic Council, Sey Essa Dabo, and others attended the historic opening.
Allahu Akbar.
Imam Abdullah Fati led the 2-rakat congregational prayer, which marked the official end of the ceremony. Speaking after the congregational prayer, President Barrow expressed gratitude to the community for the honor, which is described as evidence of his affinity to New Yundum. He called on wealthy individuals to support the advancement of the Islamic religion, with emphasis on enhancing education and the welfare of the people. The Alcalde of New Yundum, on behalf of his community, thanked the President for gracing the inauguration, which will forever be remembered in the history of the village. He reassured the President Barrow of their support and prayed for his success, especially as he begins his second term in office. Outside the mosque complex, hundreds of people cheered the President as his motorcade slowly left the village. For the people of this settlement, it was an honor to see one of their own grace what could be described as the most important religious development in New Yundum. Mamadou Diallo, GRTS News.
While moving on to our end-of-year review series with a broad look at all sectors, including the big stories and events that shaped 2021, we begin with the energy sector, where a growing demand by the population, industry, and businesses has galvanized new advances to enhance electricity distribution and access. An extended rural energy program and the landmark regional partners also propelled this sector to new highs in 2021. Judges Fatmata Cham has a detailed look at this success.
The country's energy sector has witnessed unprecedented developments over the past 12 months, with renewed commitment to expanding capacity along emerging renewable energy advances. Although this development is yet to be felt in its entirety, large swathes of the country have become covered by an extensive electrification program, raising hopes for a country with an enduring energy crisis where demand is considerably higher than supply. The rundown equipment and dysfunctional policy environments of the past makes the energy situation a conspicuous challenge to people's lives and livelihoods and the envisioned transformation of the economy.
Here in Soma, we used to stay for 2 days without electricity, and that affects our businesses. It is from this petty trade that we get to buy basic stuff. We are able to sustain ourselves because of this trade, and if there's no electricity, we really struggle to make ends meet.
These sentiments have been echoed across the country with little or empty assurances of change. However, the past 12 months have brought some hope. The Barrow government says it focuses on improving generation capacity, including the use of renewables to boost energy production and bring incentives to the business environment to attract investments in the sector.
We can get support, energy from hydropower, from Guinea-Conakry when everything is complete. We can also have, as I said, also from our own solar power, and also we can get energy from Senegal. So it's really going to build up our capacity. But at the same time, also the transmission infrastructure will be well enhanced.
Further complementing government's resolves, countries in the West African sub-region are breaking boundaries to solve their energy needs and ensure regional interconnection and electricity trading. The much-lauded OMVG project connects a major power grid between the Gambia, Guinea-Conakry, Guinea-Bissau, and Senegal via a hydropower system linked to the River Gambia.
This is the achievement of the vision of the founding fathers of the OMVG. It is also the materialization of the outcome of the reforms that was brought up and decided by the heads of state and government in Addis Ababa. Now, we are at the phase of operationalization.
The Soma, Buyam, and Brikama substations are among 15 others in a loop of OMVG energy projects set to enable energy sharing amongst the 4 OMVG member states. The Soma station, completed this year, has an overall generation capacity of 225 to 30 kV, constructed at a tune of $700 million. Beyond energy generation, the project has greater prospects for partnership in the sub-region, which stands to enhance opportunities for trade and business.
It's a big achievement for me personally. It's a big achievement as president, but it's a big achievement for the Gambia and the sub-region. It is a project that can change people's life. It's a project that everybody should embrace. So that's why we are calling on every Gambian to come and celebrate with us. I am proud that we are achieving this project on time, and this project will change the life of the Gambian people. It will impact the life of the Gambian people.
Development always comes with a cost, and the drive to access reliable energy, especially in rural communities, saw some losing their farmlands, whilst others lost residences. But compensations came in handy, and the benefits outweigh the effects.
Of course, everything goes with interest, and politics is to promise and fulfill your promise. But not only fulfill your promise for your political gains, but making a sustainable means of problem solving. this energy supply is going to be here for the next 100 years, when most of us would have expired by then.
Currently, we are struggling. The truth is, most of our generators that we are currently utilizing half age over time. But with the OMVG now coming into play, we are very sure that we will be able to solve the LNG problem in this country permanently. And we just wait for the final commissioning of the second substation in Brikama, where we'll be able to integrate our system to the OMVG system and be able to provide more energy for the people of the country. And we will definitely permanently solve the energy problem in this country.
Studies show that Gambia's electricity rates are amongst the highest in the world, making alternative energy sources such as solar increasingly attractive amongst the population. The green energy embrace picks up pace with more communities and businesses exploring renewables to enhance energy demands. The Gambia has also made significant gains in boosting climate-friendly energy solutions, which have become a new crossroad supporting clean energy development. Tariffs and frequent outages are still a problem, and gains made in meeting the demand and enhanced transmission capacity should be sustained to make for a more reliable and competitive energy sector. For GRTS News, I am Fatoumata Cham.
Fatmata Cham there. Now to the ICT sector, as the Ministry of Information and Communications Infrastructure has over the years registered many advances in progress in the country's ICT sector. Key among the gains in 2021 is the passing into law the Access to Information Bill, as it was signed into law by the President, His Excellency Adama Barrow, in August. In this piece by our reporter Uminjai takes a closer look at the work of the ministry with efforts to especially earmark to build a digital economy.
Indeed, an eventful year for the Ministry of Information and Communications Infrastructure, as the sector witnessed unprecedented developments in advancing communication technology in the country. Out of all those impressive inroads, one stands out, one that has touched the life and livelihood of those who matter in information dissemination. The Access to Information Bill, which has paved ways to increase public scrutiny of the Gambia governance process, policy implementation, national spending, among others.
The government of the Gambia is very much on the move in terms of its ICT programs and policies, especially policy initiatives that are geared towards enhancing the overall performance of the sector in achieving the critical enabler 5 of our National Development Plan, which is to make the Gambia a digital nation.
A global pandemic, lockdowns, and a growing embrace of technology has propelled the country's ICT sector to new heights, witnessing unprecedented advances that have enhanced public access to information, alongside legislation to guarantee the process.
People are actually localizing some of these things that they're developing. They're fixing issues that are directly or indirectly affecting them at the level of our social fabric. And I think that's really important, because that's really would determine the uptake of that innovation. Because if it doesn't really fit into the social fabric, people won't use that application. People won't use that device or whatever it is you've created. But when people see that it's actually adding value or somehow solving a problem that they are facing on a daily basis or on a weekly basis, some of the companies that are really coming up, the innovative solutions that are being brought, especially with the advent of this COVID pandemic, you see some really great ideas springing up, and kudos to really the young people. They're really, really innovative.
In August this year, President Adama Barrow signed the Access to Information Bill into law. It was the very first time in the Gambia's history to legally recognize access to information as a human right. The move was globally welcomed and hailed by the press and civil society stakeholders, who celebrated the firm commitment to improve transparency and accountability in governance.
Having an investment-driven policy in the education sector is very key to the development of the education sector. It's very key in harnessing talent. It's very key also in making sure that we can be the technology hub or the technology powerhouse of Africa. Since government cannot do it all, government can collaborate with the private sector to see where they can invest through innovative business models, where the private sector can gain and government can gain, while those talents can also gain.
Over the year, Mosque has bankrolled a raft of capacity building programs for its personnel to meet new emerging demands and improve the country's growing ICT sector. These programs include training on cybersecurity, a major concern in a fast-paced technological environment. The Borough administration has centered itself to boost advances in ICTs with increased investments and exploration of STEM education to harness new digital opportunities for learning and growth. But the government access to information drive has led the process, paving the way for policymakers and implementers to become more accountable to the people. The country is a far cry from the tech and digital heaven many envisage, but efforts to build a digital economy and bridge the digital gap in technology have seen more projects engaging women, youths, and girls. The Information and Communications Infrastructure Ministry played a crucial role in ensuring more involvement of girls in the ICT sector to bridge a divide that vastly excludes women, especially those in the grassroots.
In order to effectively roll out a successful fintech program, you should be able to have the local women and men that have not had the opportunity to go to formal schools to be able to understand how to use their mobile phones to log in and out and to do certain things, to get access to certain services, because believe it or not, just like it is happening in the developed world, Africa is also catching up very fast, and most of these health services and also financial services and government services may not necessarily be available out there in the open source. You will have to get them on your connected devices.
While the information and communication sector registered significant gains in 2021, opening avenues for more opportunities to the digital world and a fintech economy, stakeholders in the sector believe a lot more needs to be done to harness advances and reposition the ICT industry in 2022. Ominjai, GRTS.
Well, Justice Uminja there. Now to security market matters, because a committed security sector reform agenda is one of the top priorities of the Borough administration, with government harnessing a comprehensive framework to transform the armed forces with support from multiple partners. DCAF has led the collaboration with other stakeholders. Authorities have also engaged a range of cooperative efforts with the UK government and Turkey, providing specialized training for Gambian troops. The SSR, which is established via a legislative process, is building a viable framework to reform the military into a professional and highly productive force. More in this exclusive report.
Restructuring is almost completed, repositioning is almost completed, and now the armed forces are ready to be on a very strong platform and mechanism so that we can keep a professional armed force of the Gambia.
That's a forward vision in a rebranding process for a sector highly polarized on grants and operational methods. It's the existing impact of what many see as the work of the former government, which gave the military its high and low moments, leaving the force in great need of reforms. Involvement in politics, human rights violations, and extrajudicial misconduct have greatly tainted the image of the military, which is struggling to re-emerge from its dark history under the former regime.
The security we are used, part of them, some of their men, we are used to actually perpetrate some of these things. And therefore, the general perception is that people lose confidence in the secure sector, and the trust is lacking. And therefore, government is interested in regaining that trust.
Over the years, the Ministry of Defense has been formulating and implementing policies towards the realization of its vision to develop a highly professional, effective, efficient, and politically neutral armed forces subject to democratic and civil control. Those efforts have led to the development of the first defense policy for the Gambia Armed Forces and a national security strategy. EU reforms partners DCAF also provided funds for the revision of the Gambia Armed Forces Act of 1985, which has already been submitted to the Attorney General Chambers for further advice.
We were honest on the table and see that the armed forces were challenged. They themselves were victims. And we all know that they suffered a lot because there were lack of frameworks, legal frameworks. So President Barrow and his team, His Excellency, who's of course Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, accept the recommendations of the assessment report and put in place the first ever national security policy of the Gambia.
That, amongst others, gives traction to the security sector reforms developed to institute enhanced accountability, professionalism, and democratic civilian controls over the country's security forces. The SSR was particularly initiated to drive institutional transformation to align the Army's capabilities, capacities, and structures to the country's security needs. The main objective of the SSR process is to enhance civilian oversight of the security sector, as well as promote institutional transformation within the frameworks of good governance and human rights. To facilitate the success and sustainability of these reforms, the SSR Steering Committee and international partners have taken critical steps towards the SSR in the country. In the process of executing the task for the security sector reform, the DCAF was introduced and approved by lawmakers in March, when legislators of the National Assembly members endorsed to support security sector.
So we've been advising government at the highest level, the Office of President, and also through the ONS, in terms of their reform agenda, and then giving all the technical support right from inception.
Months down the line, how far is the institution set up to contribute meaningfully to the security sector reform and greater accountability, leading to improved peace and security for the Gambian population faring?
We have supported the review of a lot of acts governing the security institutions. We have reviewed the State Intelligence Act. DCAF supported that. We have reviewed the GAFA, that is Gambia Armed Forces Act. We have also supported with the EU the review of the Police Act. Currently, we are about to start the review of the Gambia Immigration Department Act. So we are doing all this to make sure that we bring that best practice in, the issue of rule of law, respect, to human rights. So these are things that have to be part and parcel of some of these laws.
The Gambia Armed Forces was established in 1985 with a principal constitutional responsibility to safeguard the territorial integrity and sovereignty of the Gambia. It also has some secondary rules which are relevant to the economy and internal security of the nation. Since its establishment, a lot of efforts, especially in the past 5 years, have been made, including reforms to build a professional armed force subordinate to civilian authority.
The armed forces, we want to be seen as the people's armed forces. One way we're trying to do is, how do we collectively work in bridging the gap between the military and the civil populace?
The Gambia Armed Forces High Command is heading the process in ensuring that it becomes one of the most professional forces to be reckoned with. Years down the line, following a brutal past for the institution, the sector has seen significant improvements in both numbers and capacity. Amongst advances in the process is strengthening civil-military relations, which is key in building trust and boosts confidence between the force and the public they serve.
The objectives of our security sector reform are basically twofold. First, reforms are designed to develop an effective, affordable, and efficient security sector, for example, by restructuring or building human and material capacity. Secondly, to reform and facilitate democratic and civilian control of the security sector.
With all efforts put in to ensure its successful implementation, challenges have been outlined as a hindrance to the process, with hopes of fast recovery as the new year hops in. The security sector is witnessing a distinctive re-establishment agenda being driven by government through the Defense Ministry. The venture could be a great step in putting the force on a high pedestal as enshrined in the Constitution, enabling renewed confidence both in the force and the citizenry. For GRTS News, this is Aissatou Keita. While continuing the GRTS end-of-year reports, here is a look at some of the key achievements of the Ministry of Gender and Children and Social Welfare, while Fatou Diba reports on this alongside the struggles and setbacks confronting women and children in the Gambia.
Facing poverty harmful traditions, abuse and sexual violence, women in Gambia face a raft of enduring development challenges. But the demographic continues to be the country's most productive group, leading efforts in both agriculture and education. Despite forming the majority in the Gambia, women and children remain vulnerable, with increased difficulties ranging from security, education and training, along with prioritization of their rights and health. 2021 was both a year of wins and setbacks for women who witnessed a growing commitment to resolving their needs and development challenges, with advances increasing their participation in productive sectors and governance. Women still lead food and horticultural production, and in fisheries, women are both traders and fish offloaders and processors, but their efforts are heavily impacted by lack of needful facilities and support.
Bari Gambia albe algo Gambia man molol soto so ndel alta ko la Senegalel ndel ni wolle be do ko la bari biriñu corona nata iko corona le Gambia so mbe am be bari na molol ay mbatandile ay ndi stople na molol tija ni mantar do kula so kulun downtown mi je wolle ka teja nyim pano first time 1000 dasin gasa wol bar sa im bayra 3000 pano gasa wol.
More women are in business and girls are dominating STEM education and key sectors, but their health remains largely unprioritized. In the face of a shadow pandemic of gender violence, maternal mortality hit a new high in 2021 as healthcare systems focus on battling COVID-19. When the World Health Organization declared COVID-19 a pandemic, the lockdowns that followed led to unprecedented levels of domestic and gender-based violence against women and children. In 2019, the Ministry of Gender, Women, Children and Social Welfare was established to improve the lives and eliminate all forms of gender inequality, with special focus on women, children, and physically challenged. It was the first time the country had a ministry solely responsible for planning and implementation of policies and programs geared towards the advancement of the vulnerable. To end domestic and gender-based violence, the ministry and other organizations like the Network Against GBV and Child Protection Alliance conducted extensive advocacy, fusing their voices to eliminate struggles challenging women. The government of the Gambia recognizes that sustainable economic and social development of the country requires the full and equal participation of women. In addressing to this need, the Women's Enterprise Fund was established to create access to credits and microfinance for women, a primary challenge confronting women entrepreneurs.
We also want to thank very much our President Adama Barrow, for making the environment conducive and for coming up with the with the NDP, in which the Women Enterprise Fund is an indicator. We also want to thank him very much for making funds available for us to be able to operate the Women Enterprise Fund. Last year, he gave us $6 million. This year, he has given us $11 million. And by the grace of God, before the end of the year, we'll also get the EU support, which is at the tune of €3 million. We are happy because the main reason why our minister has been formed is to ensure women's empowerment, their political empowerment, their social empowerment, and their economic empowerment. And let's remember, we can't achieve the other aspect of empowerment without economic empowerment. Economic empowerment is very important for women's financial self-sustainability.
As the year ends, more women are mobilizing in farms and firms, in the public and private sector, to harness positive change and equality alongside government and civil society organizations who are working to provide a ticket to better livelihoods while expanding interventions to end all forms of inequalities, confronting women and children so they live in a world where they realize their full potentials. Fatou Diba for GRTS News.
Well, that exclusive report by Fatou Diba takes us to our first break. The news returns in a moment. Do stay.
Always thirsty for more. A team of superheroes with special powers unite to redefine the way we are connected. Big Barbara Pegas steps up your communication with the DOK service, giving you 1,000 minutes of talk time to one special person for $150 is only. Valid for 1 month. Enjoy your talk time. Type SU by SMS to 135 to activate the TOK service. AfriCell got office with the power to change the world. AfriCell is setting trends once again. I'm sure you still love WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, and Viber. Your favorite GSM operator, AfriCell, knows this. That's why you can now enjoy more at the same price. Activate the social media bundle and be online for 24 hours for $10 is only.
Hello! Activate the social media bundle for $10 is only and receive 40 megabytes.
Where AfriCell goes, nobody dares to follow.
Welcome back. Now the countdown to the French presidential election is on and candidates are in full campaign mode on issues such as migration, security, climate change and the COVID-19 pandemic. But who are the people on the list for the next president of France?
Seems to be in a campaigning mood, the clear favourite in early election polls. For politics professor Frédéric Matonti, he remains the one to beat.
Et je pense que très honnêtement, même s'il aura des difficultés, même si le deuxième tour face à un candidat par exemple d'extrême droite serait difficile, parce qu'une partie des gens détestent Emmanuel Macron, pour l'instant je dirais que c'est quand même plutôt lui qui a le plus de chances de l'emporter.
The race energised both the hard right and his opponents. Zemmour has been on the offensive, branding the young President Macron a teenager who led France into a void. And France could have its first female leader. The far-right Marine Le Pen made it into the runoff last time in 2017. She will hope to go one step further this time. There is also the mayor of Paris. The pro-environment Anne Hidalgo is the 2022 candidate for the Socialists. But she's not well known outside the capital, something she's trying to address, seen here at a rally in the southern city of Perpignan.
Je rêve! I dream of a Republican left, of a popular left that changes lives, an ecological left that rises to the level of its historical mission.
Écologique!
Valérie! Valérie!
And for the first time, the centre-right Republicans chose a woman as their candidate. Valérie Pécresse has had a surge in polls, and some see her as the top challenger to President Macron. And for the public, there are lots of potential presidents in the race.
J'espère bien que M. Zemmour, qui est un homme qui a mis l'accent sur des points très importants, l'immigration, l'identité nationale.
Il y a un climat, un climat de crise qui est sanitaire et qui du coup inquiète en plus de ne pas avoir de réponse sur l'avenir et sur les participants. Il y a en plus, et je ne trouve pas qu'il y ait de personnalité en France. J'attends un peu pour voter pour le moins mauvais.
The election will take place 2 years on from the first hard coronavirus lockdown.
GRTS News with me, Aissatou Keita. I'll look at our main points once again. President Barrow has said in his New Year message that 2021 provided opportunities for government to strengthen bilateral and multilateral cooperation, as well as collaboration with development, regional and international partners for socio-economic growth. In their New Year messages, bishops of the Catholic, Anglican Diocese and the Methodist Church described COVID-19 pandemic as a humanitarian crisis and urged people to be vaccinated. While examining government sectors, GRTS looked at all sectors of the economy as the year 2021 ends. Elsewhere, presidential candidates in France's upcoming elections geared up to the race with issues such as immigration, security, climate change, and the COVID-19 pandemic. Well, that was all we had time for in this edition of the news with me, Aissatou Keita. From me and the entire news team, we want to thank you for the pleasure of your company. Do stay tuned to GRTS.